Hello, Internet, and welcome to another Wednesday's Serial. This time, I am primarily talking about the sensational comic that hit this week that I don't think people are really talking about. I'm talking about Ben Reilly's Scarlet Spider. Maybe I'm a week off, but I enjoyed this book. I think I can see where some people not be enjoying it nearly as much as I do. First of all, it's a Spider-Man comic, so we're hitting some soft points for me. It's a B book, still at the same price point as everything else Marvel. Annoying. But what's cool is we have a new costume. I don't know how I feel about it yet. He actually doesn't spend much of the issue in that costume, but I think it's nifty, goofy. It's playing with the hood and all that, but there's a bit of play with the old Scarlet Spider costume being around. That's supposed to be like his good self versus the jackal mask that he wore during the clone event that we had. Is the other way, which I thought was a good play. I swear this issue goes in plot what would take most modern Marvel comics about 3 issues to get through. So, I don't know, I was digging that. He spends a lot of this issue in a really goofy outfit right here, where honestly, it reminded me of Deadpool. He's all scarred up. He's kind of hiding it, but he's quipping and having fun with that. And then there's this old lady, June, that he takes a liking to real quick, playing off the idea of Aunt May. It's fun, but she's just a grouch. It's just kind of a dark mirror to what Spider-Man is, which again, for early Deadpool stuff, is kind of on the same realm. So you have Peter David writing, one of my favorite writers. You have Bagley on art, one of my more favorite Spider-Man artists. And they're just going through doing all this. And it's just hitting a lot of cool notes for me. If you're skeptical about this comic, I will say at the very least, compared to most modern comics, I actually felt like there was something to read in here. And no part of it was a slog. It is just a fun, cool idea. It's probably worth picking up the issue to see if you're interested at all, because at the very least, I think it's well done and fun enough to warrant it. And that's part of it, is that it's fun. It's playing with a weird idea that's come up because of the comics and is just going to go for it organically. I don't think we get as much of that anymore. Like, the closest thing I can think of, like, this DC side even, was like when they did Talon a while ago, and that book was too serious for its own good and ultimately kind of pointless. I don't think this book is going to have any far-reaching events or points of memory for comic fans. I think it's just gonna be a fun book to read and to be along for the ride, which is more of what I aim for. So I thought I'd give some props and maybe see if a couple more people might be interested. Hopefully, maybe want to talk about it a bit more when we get a few issues in. Try to put up some props and push a new, big 2 book that I'm enjoying, because we don't get those as often. I did really quickly want to note, because I've been putting some stuff up on Twitter, I've been reading some older Straczynski Spider-Man, kind of in the dark zone, in between his 2 most hated arcs, which is the one where he brings in the Osborn children, and then One More Day. But between that, there's some cool stuff. One playing with an old high school buddy of Peter's, and kind of having a weird flashback, but in an organic way, to some earlier Spider-Man stuff, and playing off the idea of him being a teacher at the time, that I really dug. And what I found curious was, I was reading these 2 slower issues that were just people talking, basically, no action or anything, and I was just digging it, and the way it was written, the way it was presented, I was just there. And I've had trouble with a lot of the slower issues lately because nothing was hooking me in whatever comic it is that I'm trying. So that was refreshing. More refreshing was there was a bit with Hydra, and there was a play with old school Avengers, and so there's like this Hydra cap, literally, and the, like, instead of the American star, it had a Hydra symbol on the shield. Captain America throws his shield and it tears through the Hydra fake shield, and it was just this perfect thing for this in comparison to the Nick Spencer, Steve Rogers Captain America run that I've been hating, and putting that up. And it was very cathartic, and it's just funny looking back at some older comics from when I really started to love Spider-Man as much as I did around high school, but I hadn't read these comics before, so I have no direct nostalgia for them. And reading them saying like, yeah, there's something here that I'm not seeing in many comics anymore, and just loving it. And I've been finding that more and more lately, so I'm wondering if we're just in an era of comics that just doesn't grab me as much, which is fine. But it's just interesting comparison. So there we go. Yeah, just quick thing. Wanted to talk about one issue because it's one of the few that I haven't been buying forever, so I had something to add. Hope to speak to y'all soon with another comic review.